Welcome, everyone, to our discussion. Today we're unpicking a really intriguing puzzle about Jesus. Was he a Pharisee, a Sadducee, or maybe even an Essene?
I'm excited to dive in. So, let's start by looking at the debate around these ancient sects.
Right, so first up, Pharisees. The name basically means the separated ones. They were experts on the legal tradition, super into purity laws, oral traditions, and making the Torah applicable to everyday life. And many of Jesus' teachings, believe it
Yeah.
or not, kind of mirror that. Think, resurrection, heavenly beings, and even that golden rule vibe inspired by Hillel the Elder.
I've noticed that too. But isn't it ironic, though? He also harshly criticized the Pharisees for hypocrisy.
Exactly, and that's the twist. It's like, while his beliefs sound, pretty Pharisaic, he was also, coming in as a sometimes rabble-rousing critic. A reformer, perhaps, or their worst nightmare. It's
Yeah,
like,
right.
is it a case of having your cake and eating it too, if you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Now, shifting gears, let's talk about the Sadducees.
Oh yeah, the temple elites. They were, aristocratic and had a cozy relationship with Roman authorities. They strictly followed the written Torah, rejected the resurrection, and dismissed the idea of angels entirely. Jesus, on the other hand, literally flipped their tables, both figuratively and, sometimes literally. His resurrection teachings, for example, directly clashed with their worldview.
Right. He even said that God is the God of the living, not the dead, which was a direct challenge to their beliefs, wasn't it?
Exactly. So, in that sense, his opposition to the Sadducees was pretty pronounced, almost like a showdown.
Now, what about the Essenes? They're a whole different ballgame.
Oh, for sure. The Essenes were these desert mystics, sort of living on the fringes, anti-temple and, obsessed with purity and an apocalyptic outlook. Their ideas even show up in the Dead Sea Scrolls. Some scholars, like Robert Eisenman, have speculated that there might have been a proto-Jesus figure among them, or at least someone who prefigured his
That's
message.
wild. Really adds a whole other layer to the discussion, especially when you consider John the Baptist, who many connect with Essene ideals.
Exactly, yeah. John the Baptist, with his fiery sermons and his whole baptism of repentance, was, almost like a messenger for the Essene mindset. And if you look at many of Jesus' teachings, like the blessed are the poor and meek, those messages really do echo the Essene scrolls.
I can see that. But here's something that I find a little, contradictory. Jesus was known for, mingling with sinners, touching lepers, eating with outcasts, actions that definitely would have shocked both the Pharisees and Essenes, right?
Exactly. And that's where it gets really interesting. You see, while his teachings resonate with multiple sects, his behavior broke all the conventional boundaries of these groups. It's like he was drawing from each tradition without completely fitting into any one of them.
Yes, very complex. So doesn't that suggest that maybe Jesus was essentially a hybrid of these influences?
That's a strong possibility. As some scholars put it, Jesus wasn't starting a completely new religion per se. He was, rooted in Jewish tradition. But he was also a radical reformer, rewriting rules on the fly, breaking boundaries, and reconfiguring the entire religious framework of his time.
Fascinating. And what's really striking is how that defies the neat categorization we usually try to impose on history, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's like trying to fit a wild, unruly animal into a domesticated pen. Jesus' message seemed to draw on Pharisaic teachings, challenged Sadducean power, and shared Essene apocalyptic vibes, while simultaneously rejecting the rigidity of all those established
Yeah,
camps.
exactly. I've read that some argue he was more of a boundary breaker, a kind of revolutionary who defied religious norms to offer a radically inclusive and often provocative message.
Right. That notion really sticks out. And it's interesting because, when you look at passages in the Gospels, he both affirms certain elements of Jewish law and yet seems to, subvert them. It's like he was a living critique of the system while at the same time using its language
Yeah, absolutely.
to speak.
I'd love to hear your take on whether this hybrid portrayal might have been a deliberate strategy, or just a natural result of his unique background?
Well, I think, in many ways it was strategic. By being both an insider and an outsider, he could appeal to a wide spectrum of people. But also, frankly, it might just reflect the complex religious landscape of first-century Judaism.
That makes total sense. However, I do have a slight critique here. As much as I admire the idea of him being a hybrid, doesn't that make his message a bit too eclectic, too hard to pinpoint for his contemporaries?
That's a fair point. It's definitely possible that his eclectic approach may have confused some followers. But consider, his approach also allowed him to challenge the status quo by, well, bridging divides. In any case, it might be that his very unpredictability was what made him so revolutionary.
And it's that very unpredictability that continues to spark debate even now, 2,000 years later.
Exactly. It's like his legacy is a riddle wrapped in a mystery, right? Every time we look at the texts, there's another layer to unfold.
Absolutely. So, if we were to sum it up, can we say that Jesus' teachings are a blend of Pharisaic legalism, Sadducean power challenges, and Essene mysticism?
That's right. And it's also about breaking molds. Like he wasn't satisfied with fitting neatly into any pre-existing category. It's like he adopted bits and pieces from each, but then rewrote the rules entirely.
Yeah, very boundary-breaking indeed. It truly makes you wonder, doesn't it? The idea that perhaps modern religious divisions have their roots in such complex historical dynamics.
Absolutely. And it's also a reminder that history often defies simple labels. Jesus remains a compelling figure because he challenges us to think beyond categories.
Foresight indeed. In terms of impact, the way he redefined what being pious or righteous meant, it really turns the standard narrative on its head.
Yep. It's almost like he was saying, look, maybe it's not about strict adherence to a set of rules. It's about the spirit behind them. It's revolutionary in its own way.
Right, very revolutionary. And that revolutionary spirit is one of the reasons why we're still here, discussing and debating his influence today, isn't it?
Exactly. With every new interpretation or discovery, we peel back another layer of this fascinating historical figure, revealing more about the religious and social currents of his time.
Incredibly fascinating stuff. So, to our listeners, if you've been following along, what do you think? Was Jesus really a Pharisee reformer, a defiant Sadducean opponent, or maybe an Essene mystic? Or, as it appears, a bit of all?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it might very well be that the answer is none or all of the above. His identity was fluid, complex, and purposefully, boundary-destroying.
Exactly. I love that. It really makes you think about the intersection between tradition and innovation, faith and rebellion.
Absolutely. And it shows us that history isn't just about categories. It's about the human experience of challenging the status quo.
Yes, very true. Thanks for a really enlightening chat. Whether it's Pharisaic debate, Sadducean defiance, or Essene mysticism, Jesus' legacy invites us to question everything.
For sure, and thanks to everyone for tuning in. Keep questioning, keep exploring, and we'll catch you next time as we dive even deeper into history and religion.